All right. My name is James Shepard. I'd like to thank you for taking time to join me today for this webinar. I got Ryan with me today. So, Ryan, why don't you take a second to introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit more about what you do at Factor 4, and then we'll dive in today.
Very good. Thanks, James. I'm Ryan Rose. I'm Chief Revenue Officer here at Factor 4. So I lead our sales and business development group, looking for obviously new business that we work directly with merchants, as well as our network of resellers, ISOs, and technology partnerships.
Awesome. Love it. So today I'll give you a little bit of a kind of agenda for everybody on the webinar today. So I've got about I don't know, 5-10 minutes here. I just want to run through some high level of the three revenue drivers that Ryan and I have been kind of working on together. So I'm going to kind of give you the zoomed out, lens of this. Then I'm going to turn it over to Ryan, and I've asked Ryan to just kind of like educate us on how does all of this work? What are the nuts and bolts of really using gift cards in a way that's going to drive revenue as we get into the holiday season? So, really looking forward to that. So, we're going to go ahead and just dive in here with these three keys. Let me make sure we get everything going. Before I do that, let me ask a couple of questions just to make sure our audio and all that is working. So, do me a favor, if you can hear me and see me right now, go over to the little chat box and just type yes. That would be very helpful to me. I just like to always do this at the beginning to make sure that everybody can see and hear me. So I love seeing lots of yeses. Thank you, everybody. That's great. Awesome. Okay, now here's a better question for you. So as we get into the holiday season, put a number in the chat box. What is the number of merchants that you currently have active on a gift card program that you set up for them, right? So your gift card program, whether it's Factor 4 or it's Value Tech or whatever, one of these companies, you set up the gift card program. Give me a number. So if it's zero, put a zero in there. If you've got 100, put 100 in there. If you've got 10, put 10. How many merchants do you currently have on a gift card program? Again, I'm just curious. Yeah, and so this is good. So we have a few here. John's got 50 plus. Kurt's got 30. Jan's got a couple. Leslie's got one. Joanne's got 10. Okay, we got a few more in here. Good. Okay, yeah. So, it's kind of what I expected to see was kind of a mixture, right? And I think what's interesting is as we go into the holiday season, like this is the time when you want to focus on gift cards, and I want to talk about that a little bit. And so, I already skipped ahead here and kind of introduced Ryan, and I think everybody on here knows who I am. But I want to talk to you about these three keys. So as we talk about these three keys, here's what we're talking about. I think gift cards get put into this box, Ryan, of, kind of the boring part of payment sometimes. And so it's hard sometimes to get resellers excited about it. But at the end of the day, the gift card programs drive revenue. Right, and make the portfolios more profitable. And so I want to talk about this. And so Ryan and I had a conversation recently, and we were like, how do we break this down to really explain it, plainly to everybody of how to use this? And so we came up with these three key things. And so I want to talk about those. And then again, I'll turn it over to Ryan, who can make it a lot more practical in terms of how to utilize this. So number one on my list, okay, prospect more effectively. I don't believe it is a mystery to anybody on this webinar today that walking into a business these days or calling a business and saying, I'm here to save you money on credit card processing. That is not very effective anymore. Okay. It was effective for me 15 years ago. Even by the time I was done, 9 years ago, with kind of really being out in the field a lot, selling full time, it wasn't very effective, right? I had kind of moved on to other things. And what I found is that it works a lot better if you can walk in with something else, something that's a little more relevant, a little more timely, have a conversation, build a little bit of a relationship, but that thing needs to be really well integrated into payment processing because you want to like effortlessly move from the one to the other. So gift cards are perfect because I think a lot of agents today are maybe struggling to go in and open with technology. Like that can be difficult as well. It's a great pitch, but it leads to a lot of very complicated questions. Whereas a lot of you are out there and you are wanting to sell dual pricing, terminal accounts, things of that nature, or Clover or other kind of standard POS deals. And so at this time of year, it's really great when you can walk in and say, hey, I just wanted to stop by and just check in with you on your gift card program. Are you guys ready for the holiday season? How are you doing that today? That is a conversation that most small business owners are going to be willing to have with you because they are going to think, oh, yeah, that's relevant. It's coming up on the holidays. How am I doing gift cards? And, they've probably never had anyone walk into their business and ask them about their gift card program. So when you go in there as kind of the gift card vendor, right, you're going to start that conversation with them. And then, of course, as that progresses, it's going to slide into those sales. And so I really believe that one of the biggest kind of untapped potentials in our industry, as I talk to salespeople, our industry, we seem to be really, really bad at increasing the top of the funnel. So as we talk about the sales process, right? The sales process is top of the funnel. I get somebody who I grab their attention, I generate a little bit of interest, right? Then we get down to the middle of the funnel and we talk about the main thing we want to sell them, which in this case is probably payment processing, point of sale. Then the bottom of the funnel is people that we close. And in our industry, we are very good at taking that person right into the middle of the funnel, but we're not very good at adding more people to the top. This is how you do that. You got to go a little bit outside of the core thing and talk about something that's going to get them excited, that's going to get them interested in what you have to offer. So, prospect more effectively, leverage gift cards to drive more revenue by number one, just simply getting more contacts, getting better, initial reactions. That first 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds of your relationship with a business owner. Right now, this time of year, you can dramatically change that by talking about gift cards. Number two, close more deals quickly. Close more deals quickly. Okay. Pretty sure quickly is misspelled right there. But anyway, close more deals quickly. Well, we're really trying to emphasize the E at the end of there. No, but close more deals quickly. All right. What's the idea here? Well, once you have these people in the top of the funnel and they come down through and we're having these really good conversations and contacts with them, what we want to do at that point is we want to get the sale. And so two ways that gift cards can impact that to close more deals quickly. Number one is more deals. So again, if we get more people interested in talking with us, having a conversation, even potentially selling them on gift cards, maybe we don't even get them on the payment processing, but we get them on the gift cards, we are eventually going to close more deals. Like it's possible if you lead off with gift cards and Factor 4, you may get 10 new merchant accounts between now and January 1st that don't even use you for payment processing yet because they are like, I don't want to switch my payment processing. I'm right in the middle of the holiday season or whatever, but you get them on gift cards. Well, guess what? You go back in January. How did it go? It went really well. Well, guess what? They're going to switch, right? So you get more accounts, but you also get them more quickly because what's going to happen is as you get the person that says, yeah, I do want to go with the merchant services, the fact that you've already got the gift cards as part of that conversation, bring Factor 4 into the equation. Now they're going to say, one of the big reasons merchants don't want to switch around the holidays is gift cards. They're like, well, my gift card program is tied into my current provider. If I switch now, I've got all these gift cards out there. And especially if you're prospecting in November and early December, right? We all hit these like problems. Well, you've got to talk gift cards. That's a key because now when you use somebody like Factor 4, they can do that conversion seamlessly where all the gift cards that are out there are still going to work on your terminal. And then, Ryan will talk more about that in a little bit. So those conversions really matter. So that's how you close more deals quickly is you get more deals in the first place because you have the higher top of the funnel and you're able to have those conversations. But then secondly, because once you get somebody to say yes, you don't get hung up on like a 2-month long gift card conversion. You can just switch them over right during the holiday season. And you can actually make it a positive because the things Ryan will talk about in a little bit, you'll show them the benefits of the gift card program and why it matters to them to switch right now and be ready for that holiday season versus saying, well, let me wait till after the first of the year. Because we all know, between now, as soon as it hits even October 15th, I feel like the number one objection to merchants is talk to me after the first of the year. And so this is a way to get around that objection. So we are going to be able to prospect more effectively, add more to the top of the funnel, which is going to drive our eventual revenues. We're going to close more deals because we now have those extra top of the funnel deals that are focused on gift cards, and we're eventually going to convert them. So we're closing more deals, closing them more quickly because once we do get them interested, we can seamlessly do the gift card conversion. So we're prospecting more effectively, we're closing more effectively. And finally, number 3, we are increasing margin and decreasing attrition. So I was thinking about, the best way to kind of visualize this. And I think one thing that we can lose track of in this industry, especially as agents and ISOs, is that, each merchant account that you sign is an asset. Okay. Assets have a certain amount of lifetime value to them. I used to be into like rental properties. And so I would get like a rental house. And the truth of the matter is most of the merchant accounts that those of you that are on here are writing, let me just ask this question. Actually, this will be curious. So, what is the average monthly residual, like your personal take home money? If you look at your last 10 accounts, what is your average monthly residual per account right now that you get? Put it in the chat box for me. Just give me a number. Average monthly residual dollar amount, $200, $500, $100, $50. What's your average monthly residual per account? Just curious to see what these numbers look like. So, right. So most agents I'm talking to, here's, again, 50, 400. Somebody's probably doing larger accounts or lots of dual pricing accounts. Okay. So this is interesting. So like as an example here, yeah, this is more, so 260. So 300 for Richard. So to give you all an example, I had a rental house. My average rental house, I think I had like 8 or 9. The average rental house I was collecting, this was 16 years ago or something like that. I was collecting on average about $1,000 a month in rent, and my mortgage payment was and insurance and everything was about 600. Okay, so I was making about $400 on a rental house. So Lawrence, as an example here, Lawrence has an average monthly residual of $400 per account. So Lawrence, each of your accounts is an asset that produces the same income as a rental property, like an entire house that I owned, right? Like that, right? So these are assets. And so as we think about an asset that produces income, right? You really want to make sure that you are able to keep that asset, and you want to make sure that you're able to increase the income of that asset. Like that's what we're doing. This is asset management. So when we talk about increasing margin and decreasing attrition, a couple of things I'll point out here. Number one, understand that gift card programs do increase margin. And I think what's happened is a lot of times we are seeing these bigger numbers, $200, $300, $400 average margin on an account. And we're starting to go, well, who cares about that extra $10, $20, $50 that we get from gift card? But that stuff really matters because you are increasing the margin on those accounts. And the fact that you're getting that money is a big deal, and it does add a lot. It may not seem like a lot to some of you initially on the front end, but when you go to maybe sell the portfolio or get a valuation on the portfolio down the road, the fact that you've now got maybe 200-300 accounts and they're each getting you that extra $20, that's all of a sudden pretty significant. So we're increasing margin, but more important for portfolio valuation is that you decrease attrition. So again, lifetime value. Guess what? These accounts are not rental properties. And the way I can tell you that they're not is because when my renter moved out and I wasn't getting paid rent, I still owned the house. That is not the case for you. If you lose your income, it's because you lost the account. The two things are put together. You don't have an asset that's good when you're not getting paid on it. So all of a sudden that attrition is like killer, super important. Well, guess what? When people have their gift card program and their merchant account with the same provider, they tend to not cancel. Okay, they tend to stick around, especially when that gift card provider is able to scale to the point of sale system or whatever other technology they want to go to. So, you're taking your lifetime value of your account and you're increasing the margin, but you're also decreasing the attrition. Those two things together, in many cases, you can take the value of your portfolio up 30 or 40% just because of the slight increase in margin and the dramatic decrease in attrition. So these are 3 kind of high-level keys that you can use to drive more revenue using a gift card program. Again, especially this time of year, like this right now, coming into September 1st, this is when you shift gears and start talking about gift cards a lot. So now that I've kind of set the stage for this, Ryan, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. And I know you got a presentation as well. So Ryan, why don't you take it away and give us a little more context on the nuts and bolts of like the details of how do we implement these gift card programs?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, James. Gonna share my screen here. Let me know that we're good.
Good.
Cool. Let me start with the boring Factor 4 overview slide. I know there's a mix of folks here probably that already work with us or have some experience, or maybe some new partners, as well as folks that have never had any experience with us. Just like to cover a lot of the basic points here. Certainly, you'll have all this as a takeaway. We're happy to dive into certain situations, right, and help and be consultative as to what's the right fit. But just as the general background in Factor 4, we've been around for about 10 years now. We have over 20,000 merchants installed in our platform. We really harp on the fact that we're integrated just about everywhere. It's obviously a big differentiator for us, being compatible, making it super easy for you and the boots on the ground to make those connections. We also have over 250 relationships with folks just like yourself. Again, some of you might be already working with Factor 4, but in terms of ISOs, technology partnerships, independent agents, that is the primary business model for us. So that might not be apparent from the surface. We certainly do work directly with merchants, but more than 70% of our business comes through this network, working with folks like yourself who already have those trusted relationships with the merchants. And we feel that's a much more effective way to empower and enable you to bring them the best gift card solution on the market. We also do all the production of all the physical materials. I'll show some of that. That's actually a good part of the upsell and part of the, again, timing here in the holidays when it comes to inventory. Below, you can see a handful that I've called out in terms of integrations that might be relevant to you, but we have our whole list available on the website. You can find it easily there, but make sure everybody has a copy. A couple of other interesting things I do like to call out while I'm here, just because again, I think when you think gift card programs, you're thinking, hey, there's a coffee shop with a Clover and we can go in and do his gift cards. We definitely service a lot of interesting use cases, I would say, really kind of those 2 or 3 bottom bullet points that you see there. So we can do things like multiple POS or even town and community programs. So multiple merchants, multiple brands, even if they're using different technologies, we can connect all those dots on the back end in Factor 4. So if it's something that doesn't look exactly like a gift card program, feel free to ask us, because again, we've found some really unique use cases that we've been able to serve. And then, again, just a couple other call outs here, as James mentioned, one of the things that we've gotten really good at, aside from being the best in our industry at support, we are great at migrating those existing programs because we know exactly what it takes. We know that that can be a barrier. So we've really put a lot of focus on that process and that transition because it usually is one of the main sticking points. And again, some of you might already have a relationship with Factor 4, but I do like to cover off on some of these things that are really important to keep in mind. Technology is technology, right? There's, I would say, gift cards and gift card processing could be looked at as somewhat of a commodity these days, right? It's gone from a nice to have to, I think, a must have for a lot of business types. But again, support's our number one priority because we know that when we have a relationship with you and you have a relationship with the merchant, something that happens at the merchant reflects poorly on you, not on us. We have to have your back. So challenge you all, feel free to call our support line. You get a real person that answers the phone, no menu, no options, just somebody ready and willing to help. We offer some different flavors of partnerships. So depending on the size of your organization, how much ownership you want to have over the sales process and the implementation and the pricing, we have partnership options that really fit anybody in their business model. And those include some things like having a program with a fixed monthly fee that as a reseller, you're able to mark up the monthly fee. You're able to add on transaction fees to these programs. So build in some upside, kind of to James's recent point there. There's a lot of opportunity to drive some incremental, margin growth within these accounts. We also offer very competitive wholesale pricing on the cards and all the physical materials that we produce. Again, you're able to go and sell those at market rate. There's some margin in it for you there. Or in some cases, some of our agents, to those main couple of points, if it helped you get your foot in the door and it helps you land a new account and that account's going to be around for long enough and you have a good residual on the processing in the account, some of our agents will just absorb the cost of the first gift card order, things like that, just to add some value to the account and take one on themselves there. I've certainly mentioned ad nauseum about the integrations, but in addition to that, we have standalone solutions. So if it's not something on our list or you find something that, again, a little bit left of center, we have iOS and Android apps, so anybody could do it from a smartphone, a tablet, even any standalone terminals like Pax, Verifone, Deja Vu. We can always add something in if need be. And then the last one, I think this is going to be really the main theme and the stuff that we cover here today is how to make these value add solutions, right? To James's point, I've talked about this a lot. It's not just how can we save you money? How can we increase, right? How can we bring customers back more often? How can we get them to spend more when they're in the shop? So, that's the primary driver of what we'll be talking about today. And the last thing, and we all know this, that when you're selling anything, timing is usually one of the most important factors when it comes down to it. You can imagine for our business being really solely focused on this and this being a somewhat seasonal interest in terms of the product and the solution that we offer. This is the time of year where we batten down the hatches. We all kind of go through, get our reps in to say, hey, the summer gets a little bit slow and we're ramping here into the busy season and everybody's talking about gift cards. So with that said, winter's coming. Keep the timing in mind. Make sure that that's your best friend. Talk about the holidays. Gift cards are very, very top of mind. And happy to bring some stats to the table, but when I last checked, that gift cards, this might be a surprising stat, can account for up to 10 to 15% of a company's entire revenue during the holiday season if they're doing it right. And I'll talk about some of the doing it right factors here. But before we get into the tactical stuff, just like to cover a few trends. These are just some, again, talking points that are going to elevate your conversation with your merchants. So one, talking about digital gift cards. I think everybody's pretty well aware. Most of them probably have a box of plastic cards in some way to run them through their terminal today in a lot of cases, right? Elevate the conversation and say, this is what consumers are starting to prefer, right? They're starting to do more of this. You need to have something in place to accommodate, right? And as you can see, the top left chart there really shows, and I'll cover a little bit of this in terms of promotional use of gift cards, but Black Friday, Cyber Monday, it really kicks off in terms of gift card sales, especially when you have something available online and it's digital and you can send it instantly. And then below, you'll see that kind of natural ramp up into the holiday season. This is something that's going to provide consistent sales all the way through Christmas for every one of your merchants. On the right side, I think that's an interesting little stat as well, just to show that folks who buy an e-gift are actually buying it for a higher value amount on average than a physical gift card. And again, today, over 35% of the gift cards are digital. I'll cover off on the physical side as well, but you'll start to see the scales tipping, certainly when it comes to the balance of physical and digital gift cards. Just a little bit of a, double click into the physical side of things. Now, certainly the younger the audience are, more likely to prefer the digital option. That's pretty obvious. But the thing to keep in mind is who is actually purchasing the gift card, right? So as the recipient of a gift card, you get money towards your favorite store. You probably don't really care all that much if it's a piece of plastic or if Uncle Joe just sent it to you in an email. But as the giver, right, as the purchaser of the gift, you want to give something physical, right? That's the mentality there, that regardless of how everybody wants to use it at the end of the day, again, you can picture grandma buying gift cards for grandson. It's probably a physical card in that case, right? Grandma's not going to go through. So really what these two slides are saying is offer both. It's the best way to go, and you give an option for everybody. And don't let people convince you to say, hey, you should only offer digital cards because that's what everybody wants. Offer everything, right? So to get into some of the tactical examples, this is a little bit of, certainly plugging our solution, but can just fold that into how it's going to drive some value, drive revenue for you as the reseller and what that opportunity looks like. So we have a turnkey solution to help any merchant sell physical and digital gift cards from their website. That example that you see in the middle there is an example of the site that we create. We can build this within a matter of 24 hours or less in a lot of cases and have it stood up right away. It's going to include personalization, like the merchant's logo, their card artwork. They'll be able to customize the color theme, all of that. Again, very turnkey. And what you see there are two options. So on the left, the e-gift card, that will get digitally emailed to the recipient automatically. So again, the merchant just posts a link on their website and they don't have to think about it. I say they're open 24/7 now, right? That gives you the ability to sell something all the time and not have to lift a finger. Oops, sorry, I missed the slide. And then on the right-hand side, the traditional gift card, and this is also part of the service that we offer, is when somebody orders a physical gift card from the website, we will hold some of the merchant's inventory here at our facility. We will go through the process of loading value, packaging it up, and shipping it out directly to the recipient. If you see that example next to the computer screen on the right there, that's actually a gift card in a presenter. We'll do the handwriting to, from, and the amount, and we love you, Grandma, on that gift card presenter before we ship it out. Not kidding. That personal touch really does mean a lot. So folks are putting these orders in electronically. They're saying what they want to say, and our team here is very hands-on and all the love and care. And then the last thing to mention here is that, again, in most cases, there is no cost to the merchant to add this feature, which makes it a lot easier to sell and bring up in conversation. So we charge a service fee. That's a percentage of the value of the face value of the gift card. And that gets passed through to the consumer at checkout. So when you're pitching this to the merchant, you have gift cards in store, you sell a lot of them, your program's successful, you can start selling them online. It doesn't cost you anything. And if there's any pushback to the service fee, I can say, if you've ordered from DoorDash or you bought concert tickets or plane tickets, you haven't bought something online that didn't come with some kind of service fee. People are used to it. Whether or not that's the best answer, it causes no issues on our end. So just always like to cover that. And then in terms of the revenue opportunity when it comes to resellers, right? I mentioned that there's really no cost to the merchant. That doesn't mean that has to be the case for you. That's what Factor 4 offers to you as a reseller. If you want to tack on a setup fee, if you want to tack on a monthly fee for hosting the site, things like that. We have a lot of resellers that do sell it that way. So there could be some one-time and or residual revenue associated with this. And then the bonus there is it's a new merchant account for you. So the site gets powered by authorize.net. You can create and own that merchant account. So it's just another processing account. Every gift card that gets sold and checked out and paid with a credit card, that'll be just another processing stream for you.
The thing I like about that too, Ryan, is I just feel like, again, if I was going out in the field and I'm, wanting to strike up conversation, I think, a great question to ask a merchant would be, do you sell your gift cards online? Right. And I think a lot of these physical location merchants today would either they would say no, or they would say, oh yeah, we have digital gift cards online, and say, well, yeah, but give, during the holiday season, can people go online, order a physical gift card and get it, sent out to the person of their choice? That's a really, really big, I imagine that's a pretty big deal for you guys this time of year.
Yeah, absolutely. And our numbers are in line with what I showed on some of the previous slides, that it is over 60% of the gift cards that go through our sites are physical cards up
Mm.
until about that last week before Christmas, when there's not really time to
Enough
ship and
time to
people
ship
kind of
it.
recognize that,
Right.
right? That's
Right.
when you see the shift. But otherwise, yes,
Yeah.
the primary option is definitely physical.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, and then to your point there, James, I will say our folks here don't even ask that question of do you sell gift cards online, because we'll do that research ahead of time. It's publicly available information, right? Go to the
Right.
merchant's website, notice that it's not there, and then you can walk in with something armed and relevant for them.
Sure.
All right, so lots of stuff. So talked about digital, obviously, and the online piece, but the physical side of these programs is not going away anytime soon. So again, we do everything from printing custom cards. We also have some quick turn or in stock designs that can get out within 24 hours. So we have options for everybody. Minimums of 100 cards in an order, so we can help support the small guys, or folks that might have some leftover inventory that they already printed with their previous gift card provider. Again, we can merge that all over as well. And then surrounding it with all the stuff, right? And it might look like a bunch of stuff, but I could say this is really one of the difference that sets apart merchants who sell a lot of gift cards from the ones who don't. They include packaging, which consumers love. Again, back to that point of, remember, it's the purchaser of the gift card who's spending the money. That's what they're thinking about, right? The
Right.
person who gets it probably doesn't care all that much for the envelope or that it's handwritten right. It's more that feeling of the purchaser giving something. But even things like in-store signage, right? I can't tell you. I actually used to do this. I've been in this gift card industry for over 15 years, and I used to walk the streets. I used to walk into stores. I would walk into some of our customers' locations, mystery shopping, and say, "Hey, do you guys sell gift cards?" And then I would watch the clerk say, "Yeah, I think we do. Hold on a second," and fumble around down behind the counter and pull out a stack of gift cards that was held together with a rubber band, and it was like, oh yes, we do, right? Imagine the difference versus a sign right on the counter where you're checking the customer out that says we have gift cards here. Maybe some of those gift cards sitting there in a slot right in front of them, and training your cashier to ask about gift cards while their wallet is open, right? So those little things make a huge difference. And again, these are things that in conversation with your merchants are going to help elevate that conversation. You're driving value, you're bringing some insights, right? These things all become super important when it comes down to it. um, for anybody who hasn't worked with us before, please reach out. I'll leave the contact info at the end. We'd be happy to get you catalog pricing of everything that's available, and just make sure that you're armed with it, right? Because again, now's the time.
Yeah, that's cool. Ryan, I was also thinking that, um, when you go out and pitch this, like, your merchants, what they want during the holiday season most is they want new customers, right? That they haven't had before. Gift cards are by far the best way to do that. And think about how much people are willing to pay for new customers. Like, they'll put their items on DoorDash or Uber Eats or Grubhub or whatever, because they, the Shopify, they're willing to give up percentages. Think about Groupon was a big deal. Like, they're willing to give up huge percentages to get new people. And in this, they don't have to give up anything. It's like free new customers. And so I think making that pitch when they say, "Oh, we already have a gift card program," and kind of when they make it seem like a small thing, and you're like, well, you do realize that gift cards is one of the main ways that your larger competitors are driving new business, because over the holidays, people buy a gift card for their friends and loved ones who've never come to your store before. And now they have to come to your store to spend this money. And it doesn't cost you anything really. I mean, it's trivial how much it costs versus paying 30% to whatever distribution partner you're looking at. So I think from again, that prospecting pitch, especially during the holiday season, is just super powerful. So
Yeah, very good, James. And some of the other quick things to consider too, again, with the timing and just most of these merchants may already have programs. Just he's been asking about inventory and reorders and surrounding with packaging and in-store marketing materials. But also, if you look at the bottom left, we do have a lot of merchants that they'll print a specific holiday gift card design, right? So they don't just say, "Oh, we have a ton of inventory of the generic gift card that we sell all year long."
Right.
They'll add that holiday design. You go into Starbucks and you'll find 10 different designs. They merchandise it very well. Their gift card program is wildly successful and folks love that. So
Yeah.
again, the ones that are doing it right, that are selling a lot of gift cards with us, and we can see all that activity, they're doing all these little things right, and they really add up. And then to your point, James, I think this is actually a great one, the last one to talk about here, the idea of using gift cards promotionally. So this is definitely the lesser known, lesser thought about end of it, but the folks that do it really well. And it's not just, again, a gift card product that we sell and hope people come and buy for friends and family. This is a proactive push with gift cards, right? So I'll talk about a couple of the examples. I'll say one that I end up, getting some close personal experience with. We do the gift cards for a chain of golf equipment stores. They do fittings, they do lessons, they do everything in between. They run a promotion similar to this every year. It's a 20% bonus value. So starting on Black Friday, every gift card you buy, you're going to get 20% extra. Buy a $100 gift card, you get the $20 bonus e-gift card. I can tell you that there are folks like myself that wait all year for that promotion and say, I'm ready for a whole new set of clubs with iron fittings, and I'm going to just save 20% by buying myself these gift cards, right? Again, just one example in a use case that I've seen personally. But when you look at some of these here, like the green Adair bonus card, maybe a little bit hard to see, but at the very bottom, you can see there's actually a valid on January 1st, 2024. So they were selling these in a previous holiday season, selling their gift cards. You get that bonus value, but similar to like Kohl's Cash or Old Navy does it now, that value isn't ready yet, right? It forces you to come back in the future and use that after the holidays. Especially you go through the holiday rush and then there's that thinking period in between Christmas and Valentine's Day where nothing happens. Everybody's still sleeping. I don't know what happens, but this is a great way to get that extra
Yeah.
value out into customers' hands. That's going to bring repeat visits, right? Following the use of that promo card. And so you see in the middle, actually, Lily Flanagan's restaurant group, LFRG there. They did this earlier in the year, and they did it along with Amazon's Prime Day, which was the 2-day thing. And they kind of just used the wording and the branding. Amazon does enough marketing of Prime Day that I think they just kind of rode the coattails, but they were very aggressive with the offer. And they realized that, again, you can see on the right there that in 2 days, they sold $1,100 or 1,100 gift cards worth over 45 grand. So telling stories like that, I'd imagine some of your merchants would say, oh, okay, we never thought about doing it like that. Tell me more, right? So this is another one of those elevate the conversation. We already get gift cards from our processor, whoever. Yeah, but are you doing stuff like this, right? This is really what sets you apart from the competition. And then again, certainly a revenue opportunity here. Happy to share kind of the rates, but we keep this pretty simple. The merchant may buy some cards if they're doing it with physical cards. There's a nominal setup fee on our end to enable one of these promotions, but in terms of how that fits into your world, your deal, you could just be adding value, or there could be some incremental revenue for you.
By the way, while you're pulling up, I think you have a couple more slides while you're pulling that up. For those of you that are already having questions as we're going through this, feel free to go ahead and just put those over in the chat, or there's a little question box you can click on as well. And go ahead and just type out your questions now. And then as we get into the Q&A section, Ryan and I will do our best to kind of answer the questions that we see popping up.
Very good. Yeah, thanks, James. Yeah, and again, I think these were 3 of the main tactical examples that I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into. And again, just kind of to relay back to James's initial point, when it comes down to it and you're prospecting, right, the accounts that are going to be harder for you to steal are already held by guys that do things like this very well, right? They have that sort of longevity. They're reducing attrition. They're building in everything. They're doing a great job. So that's going to just be one of those things that makes it harder for you to take an account away. You want to be that guy, right? You want to have everything so locked down and be so well integrated and have value add services that the merchants wouldn't even think about leaving. And then at the end of the day, really continuing to bring these new ideas, right? So it's not just a matter of get them to order some gift cards ahead of the holidays and migrate all their cards over. That's when you come back in January and say, hey, let's do a promo for Valentine's Day, right? It's you don't only have to think about this at Christmas time. I can definitely show you some other stats there, but Valentine's, Mother's, Father's Day, some of the minor holidays do a really good job for, again, the companies that do it well at promoting gift cards, getting a lot of value out there on the streets because they know it's going to come back at some point, right? So as we wrap up here, I am going to extend a special offer. This is for anyone and everyone, whether you're an existing reseller and have been for many years, or you're looking to get started with us new. So we're going to offer 100 free gift cards for your next 3 merchants. So if they're your first 3 merchants with Factor 4, or you already have 50 or 100 installed and they're the next 3, we're going to extend this promotion through the end of November. So as you call in, as you have new accounts to set up, you can mention the webinar even, or just say Ryan said we can get 100 free gift cards, and we'll facilitate that. And I say, again, you can sell them at retail price. We'll give you the retail pricing if you want that as another revenue driver. Or this could be an amazing gift to pass through the value or help you nail one of those deals that you're right on the finish line. And this might be that little lever, that little thing that you throw in there that might get it over the hump, right? So again, keep that in mind, and we'd love to talk more about, if you're not set up with us already, how easy it is to do so. And then for the folks that already are, again, we'll certainly honor this through the end of November.
Awesome. Love it. Yeah, very cool. And I did that. I used to do this all the time for my merchants, and I always had to pay for it. The gift card company never offered to do this for me. But it was really powerful. I mean, I've done that before for a lot of merchants that are, I want to get them on board, but they're like, well, I need to make another gift card order. I'm like, I tell you what, I'll just throw those in. And it does. It makes a big difference for them to kind of make that, pushes them over the line to make that switch to the new gift card program and to get the processing. So that can be a powerful approach for sure.
Absolutely. And so again, kind of recapping here, the gift cards will be very, very top of mind. Don't leave them on the sideline. Bring them up proactively, right? With everybody, whether they're existing accounts that you have, or again, prospects and accounts that you're trying to break into. And just again, recapping a couple of these topics, just ask about their inventory and what they have ahead of the holidays, because you're in tune, right? You know that this is coming. You know it's something that's important to them. Like I had mentioned before, check their website. You'll be able to see this in advance and kind of go in there armed with something they're not doing, and you can kind of play it your own way as to how you want to bring it into the conversation. And we'll load you up with a bunch of examples. So, again, feel free to reach out to me directly. I can get everybody set up with a packet of things. So whether you need to show them a pizza shop or a coffee shop, a deli, what have you, we'll have relevant examples for everybody to help get them excited about it. And then that last one, again, talk about gift card promotions. This especially helps back into some of the timeline of things. So again, in terms of closing deals quickly, you might have some folks you're talking to right now. They might be thinking about gift cards. They might be thinking it's too early, and saying, we'll take care of this in the next couple of weeks. But backing into that idea of, you want this actually to be ready before Black Friday. And we're not thinking about Christmas Day here. We want to back up and say, okay,
Right.
Here's the timeline with 2 to 3 weeks to print cards and get this set up. We got to go now, right? So just using that urgency and making sure that you're positioning it as a value add. This is going to drive revenue and repeat visits. That's why we're talking about this. So again, using all those things as tools in your arsenal to help you close more deals, to help you get your foot in more doors.
Cool.
So we can jump in, maybe check some of the questions in the chat we have.
Yeah, let's run through them. Before we do that, though, Ryan, I want to give everybody your info. Maybe you could even put your email down in the chat or something. But it's Ryan. Oh, there we go. You got it pulled up. Look at that. How great. So there you go. Ryan at Factor4Gift, and that's the number 4. So Factor, the number 4, gift.com. Ryan at Factor4Gift.com. So yeah, for those of you listening on the podcast, listening to the replay, there's also sales at Factor4Gift.com, support at Factor4Gift.com, and I'll give you a phone number as well for those again that are listening. It's 484-471-3963, 484-471-3963. So again, reach out. I really enjoyed working with Factor 4. I know many of you have that connection through your ISO or whatever, and they really do a great job with support. And these gift card programs are one of these crucial things that business owners need. And I think a lot of times we maybe don't give it the attention that it deserves. So with that being said, Ryan, let's dive into some questions here. So, a lot of agents, they may already have Factor 4 available from some of their ISOs, but maybe not others. Can an individual agent reach out to you and set up their own relationship with Factor 4 so that they could maybe get paid on some of the deals, and maybe they want to have more of a consistent experience with Factor 4 versus maybe the individual ISOs that have it?
Yes, I'd love to know who asked that question, because it's a great one and something that I've been actually hearing a lot more often. So the answer is yes, right? You're free to set up your own deal with Factor 4. I'll say the caveat is some of the ISOs do a good bit of volume with us. They have a little bit more economy of scale in their pricing. The question I would have you ask then is, when you board a Factor 4 gift deal, with one of your existing ISOs, what do you make on it? Depending on what the split is, depending on what they give you out of it,
Right.
setting up your own deal with Factor 4 at a higher rate where you have control over the pricing might be more beneficial. So hopefully that's a good answer. But feel free
Right.
to contact me. I'm happy to work
Sure.
through the situation and see what's right.
Yeah, and in this particular case, which I won't, name any names here, but it sounds like the ISO's not paying them anything on the Factor 4 deal. So probably be more beneficial to set up your own deal with Factor 4. And again, I just think it's a good idea anyway, because as a general rule, it's nice when you have control of that vendor relationship. If you have one and only one ISO that you work with and they, have Factor 4 and it works well and you're getting paid, then obviously that's fantastic. But otherwise, it's nice to have a little more control. Do you use a separate terminal to load the cards?
So any of the integrated terminals or POS systems that you'll find on our list can do any of the transaction functions, right? They can check a balance, they can load, they can redeem, all on any of the terminals.
Right. So the answer to the question is no, you don't need to do a separate terminal. In fact, that would be very old school. The idea would be, Factor 4 integrates into, again, if it's a Valor or Deja Vu, whatever the terminal is that you're using, or if it's Clover, they have these integrations so that you don't need a separate terminal for gift cards. That's a big one. And a lot of
Yep.
merchants still do have that. And it's just super annoying to them. It's an extra cost. It's just, it's not ideal.
Yeah,
Um,
and I will say, just to add to that, in some cases that might be necessary. It might be an interim solution. It might be a gap fill. I can say, just as an example, we're not currently integrated with Square. That will be ready probably like in Q1. But in the current state, we have folks that say, hey, we have 30 locations. We have gift cards. We're on Square. We're transitioning to Toast or Clover, whatever. But we're doing it kind of one store at a time. How do we maintain gift cards in that situation? Whereas sometimes the answer would be we can stick a separate terminal in those Square locations, plug in with your Clover locations, move them over one at a time, but still leave the locations left on Square with some way to accept gift cards and keep the customer
right.
experience intact, right? So, not to say it's never the answer, it definitely could be.
Yeah, because it definitely is like gift cards is not one of these things that you want to bring over in pieces, right? So,
Right,
the gift
exactly.
cards have to come over. You can process through a different processor at a few locations, but everybody's got to have the same gift card database. So, good point. Let's see here. So, Leslie says retail restaurant are a natural fit, but wondering about other ideas. Talk about maybe some of the service industries, Ryan, that tend to do pretty well with gift card programs and having maybe that online store that you talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. So we definitely have an interesting mix, right? Retail, restaurant, definitely the core of it. I would say probably 80% of the business. We do have some interesting concepts with like automotive services. I would say they don't sell a ton of gift cards. They do like to have them available, but they are proactive in using them promotionally, such as you spend X amount on services and you leave with a bonus value card that's going to be the reason you come back the next time you need your oil change or something along those lines, right? So those are the different use cases. And I would say definitely for outside of retail and restaurant, those become some of the most interesting. Actually, just finished a call with. They have both a self recording studio and publishing studio, and I said, "Do people buy gift cards for something like that?" And as they started to explain, it made a lot more sense. It was like, well, not traditionally, but the packages are pretty expensive, right? For an individual to do this could be 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 bucks. So the idea of friends and family members all chipping in towards that and each buying something, then it starts to make sense, right? And then that idea of doing it promotionally, the family and friends can chip in, they can add a 20% value and kind of cover the whole session. So we
Mhm.
definitely see and are looking for to expand in some of those, I guess, the verticals that don't seem like they're as
Right.
top of mind for gift cards, right?
Yeah, and I think another really good example. So I actually started my career at a company called True Green Chemlawn, a Service Master company. We're doing, lawn care treatments for weeds and fertilizer and stuff. And I can tell you that we did a ton of gift cards over the holiday season because, it was promoted. And we would say to our current customers, the main thing we go to current customers and say, hey, why don't you give the gift of a beautiful green lawn to your friends and neighbors for next year? And we would do all kinds of different promotions where it's like, hey, we would guarantee for this price you can, get your lawn treated as long as it's up to this size or whatever. You're also going to see a lot of, again, you mentioned family and friends. I've done gift card programs before for like HVAC companies and things of that nature where what I found was even though it's a pretty high ticket amount, a lot of times you'll have like parents that want to pay for helping their kid get their something in their house fixed or whatever.
Oh
And
yeah.
And it's like, well, how do you do that, right? It's a little awkward to like send the invoice to their dad. They're like 25, 30 years old. So instead, the dad will say, "Well, let me help you out with that. I'll buy $1,000 gift card, and I know it's probably going to cost more than that, but that'll." And so I've seen a lot of that almost as a form of like a third party transaction of somebody just wanting to chip in. So I think most businesses, the idea of having this kind of, especially digitally, like having this ability to gift money to someone else, it's actually a lot more common than you would think. You may be, if you're thinking in terms of a physical gift card in the traditional gift sense, you may not be thinking about the full potential of it. A lot of people now are, trying to chip in and help people out with different things, and gift cards can be an interesting way to facilitate that.
Yeah, a couple other use cases to add to that, right? For retail merchandise credit. So returns instead of back on your credit card, we can issue merchandise credit. Stored value works the same way as a gift card. You track it separately. So from the merchant standpoint, they have reporting for the gift cards they've sold, merchandise credit cards that they've issued for returns. We even do things like employee allowance cards. So all the employees carry a card, it gets loaded with $50 on the first day of every month. Use it or lose it, reloads. They can use it on food or product, right? So a lot of different ways. To James's point, if you're just thinking about that traditional gift card use case, you're definitely missing out.
Cool. Turns out we have somebody on here, Timothy, who also had his first job as a TruGreen sales rep. So that's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, I actually was the first field sales manager. So when TruGreen went to door to door, I had the first door to door sales team, which was pretty cool. So a lot of fun with that one. So a couple other questions we have here. Here's an easy one: are you guys going to be at WSAA? Do you know if Factor 4 is going to have a presence?
Yes, I will not be there myself, but Dan, our CEO, will be, as well as our head of operations. We'd encourage you to stop by and say hello. We'll have
Great.
a booth.
Awesome. So one other question that I think is a good one that we didn't really dive into as much here. I know we did on previous podcast interviews, but let's talk about the conversion. So the question here from Lawrence says, is it easier when switching a merchant from their current gift card supplier to go to Factor 4, or let them finish cashing out the cards that they already have in the marketplace, then start selling the Factor 4 cards? So clarify, if you would, a little bit of, as far as these cards that are already out there, how the conversion works to where we can instantly convert them to Factor 4.
Absolutely, yeah. So we definitely have a spread. Some folks that do it all in one clean sweep, other folks that for a number of reasons might not do it. I mentioned one in terms of like a POS transition, in terms of consistency, but I'll say, unfortunately, and maybe many of you have already been up against this, the main reason why there would be a challenge in moving everything over in one clean sweep is if the processor, the gift card processor on the other end, withholds the liability report. So the liability report, if you're not familiar, is those existing balances. It's the card number in one column, the balance in the other column. That's what we need to bring it into our system. In a lot of cases, some of the legacy gift card providers hold that hostage because they don't want you to leave, and they think that threatening you and holding your data is going to be what keeps you as a customer. But anyway, that would be the reason. And in some of those cases where we have to get scrappy and solve the problem, it might be a matter of open your Factor 4 account, keep your existing account open. When a customer comes in with one of those legacy gift cards, run the transaction through the old system. Whatever's left on the card, if there is a balance, let's say $25, throw that card in the trash, issue a new Factor 4 card for $25, let the customer leave with that. So yes, it would be a kind of slow, one at a time transition process, but we definitely support that. We do what needs to be done at the end of the day to make this all work. And again, the focus is on not just our support and the merchant experience, but the end customer experience. That's really what drives everything, right?
Right. Yeah. One little tip I will give everybody, and I'm sure Ryan, you've seen this as well. One thing I have found is, you don't want to reach out and ask for the liability report. That's a really, really bad idea. You want the merchant to reach out, and you want to kind of train them a little bit that when they reach out, they're not reaching out to switch gift card providers, right? They're reaching out because they just want to get their liability report so that they can audit the balances. Or what was it? I used to have all kinds of excuses I would use. But we're reaching out because we need to audit our balances, and our accountant wants to take a look at it, or we want to make sure we're in compliance with regulations for our state, and we need to look at our balances that we have, how old they are. It's, so there's a lot of things you can have, but yeah, the report you need is what's called the liability report, as Ryan mentioned. And again, that just gives the card number and the balance, but you're going to find that the merchant reaching out and kind of demanding it as this is our data and we need to see what's going on, usually they will get it. Some places will drag their feet and take 30 days, but they usually will be able to get it as kind of, hey, this is our data. We need this data because we have to audit our books and we've been keeping track of this. And so, that's really important. So. Okay, Ryan,
Yep.
when I look at the questions here, I think that's all the kind of core ones here. We can kind of put them into categories. So I really appreciate your time today. Ryan, one more time, let people know how they can reach you again, because a lot of people are going to be listening to this on the podcast. So maybe give us that information one more time. And again, then we'll close it out for everybody today.
Very good. Well, you can reach us by phone here, 484-471-3963. Like I said, a live person will answer and be ready to help. You can also reach us via email, sales@factor4 with the number 4gift.com. That's sales@factor4gift.com, and support@factor4gift.com. Again, those email addresses are monitored. We have a standard that we are addressing everything within 10 minutes of an email coming in. So just how we treat the phones, that's how quickly you'll get a response. And then certainly for me, you can reach me, Ryan@factor4gift.com. We, again, all share the phones here, so no direct extension at that number, but you can call and ask for me. And again, happy to connect with anybody, whether it's new, existing, whether you have a tricky situation that you need to talk through and figure out. Consider us a resource. We're happy to help.
Awesome. Ryan, thank you so much for taking time today to share your insights with us, especially around this time of year. I think it was very timely. So I really appreciate that. And I wish you guys great success this holiday season.
Thanks a lot, James. You too.